Hear me? Yes. Wonderful. How'd you enjoy that? That was Flower, and here are the two flowers and the seeds who started this. Misty Copeland, if you don't know who she is, you wouldn't be here, I'm pretty sure. And Leyla Fayyaz, who is an Emmy award-winning producer and writer. Yes. You're getting your flowers too. I want to start here. This is a full circle moment for you two. Both of you danced for the American Ballet. Tell me how you two met and how it turned into this beautiful film.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of stuff that happened between us meeting and getting to this point. So Leyla and I met 23 years ago. As teenagers, moving to New York City and joining American Ballet Theater Studio Company. So the first year that we met, we ended up on the stage at the Metropolitan Opera House. So it's really incredible to be back here showing this film that means so much to us, and in a way that we are trying to show the power of movement and the power of dance, the importance of it in every human being's life. I could go on, but do you want to add anything to that?
I think that's also the beauty of being part of the arts, is that you're exposed to this, a form of storytelling, and you express yourself in whatever form you find it, but also you find friends and you make great friendships. And Misty and I, when we met when we were like 16 and 17, we've maintained our friendship throughout that time. And we were able to come together and form our production company about 6 years ago. It's called Life in Motion Productions, and it's based off of having a life in motion. As a dancer, as a human, we're always moving and we're always telling stories through movement every day of our life. So it just made so much sense to form this production company, and this was our first work together. But I think it's a culmination of 23 years of friendship.
This is their first work. It is incredible. Truly, it's incredible. It's impactful. Without saying a word, I know I felt something strongly. Did you all feel something from that? Yeah. But only a few words were spoken, and none of them by the main characters. What were you trying to say without saying a word to the audience?
It definitely was an evolution. When creating the film, it really was a collaboration with all of the creatives that were a part of it. We really wanted to give Oakland a voice and allow for the people that are from that community to really speak. And we did a lot of research, and we were visiting Oakland and really trying to understand what the community was going through. And so in the end, in the editing process, we felt like it was so powerful to give voice to the voiceless in this film, and then to show the power of movement without having to say a word. But it was definitely a collaboration of all of us deciding that this was the best thing for the film.
And originally, Nelson George was the one who came on stage to introduce the film. He, first was introduced to ballet, seeing Misty perform here at the Lincoln Center at the Metropolitan Opera House when she was performing Firebird. And then throughout the years, him watching her perform and saying, what you do on stage, you're acting and you're a silent storyteller. We should see how we can translate that to the screen. And so that was the very first origin of using that, not using dialogue, not using voice for the film. And it just evolved and it blossomed into a beautiful flower.
The name is apropos, obviously.
Lots of puns. We have lots of puns.
Can I ask you what it has been like to transition from being a dancer on stage to being a dancer and actor and producer and all things on camera, and what that transition has been like for you and for you?
For me, it's felt really organic. My entire 23-year career at American Ballet Theater has really been about I guess, giving a voice to the voiceless, in terms of the Black and brown community within ballet, and kind of being an advocate. So in that way, transitioning into kind of storytelling and using social issues and art activism felt really organic for me to be telling stories of this subject matter. As far as being on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera House and then stepping, in front of a camera, it's very different. We spend, hours and hours in the studio to get every gesture and movement just right so that we can reach the person in the front row of the orchestra and the top tier of, the audience. And when you're in front of a camera, there's so many small nuances, and you're not over, projecting, but it's this kind of fine line between, really emoting and being subtle. But I love a challenge, and it was such an incredible experience, especially because through, I guess, a lot of the dancing in the film, I was pretty pregnant. So
hold on.
So that definitely
Wait
changed
a
a lot
You were
that I was
pregnant
experiencing.
during that? No. Did you all see what I saw? Was she pregnant? No. What?
Which added another layer and element to it that made it so beautiful in that experience. Yeah.
You were dancing and making a whole human being while dancing and creating this film. Yes. Leyla, what you go out to, and I recognize some of this because I've lived in the Bay Area for some time, and I've lived in LA and here in New York, and I recognize the West Oakland BART, and I was like, I know exactly where that is, and I know exactly what that looks like. A lot of people are afraid to go and speak to the homeless folks that are out there that are struggling. You all did this with real purpose. What were you trying to emote? What were you trying to share with the audience that they hope they grabbed onto?
Yeah, I mean, taking that concept of, translating what you see when you go to see a live ballet, classical ballet, and it's telling a story. And so we knew we wanted to do something like that, but in a more modern and relevant way. So we're like, okay, we're gonna tell this story without words, like a ballet. What do we want to say? And we knew we wanted to highlight the community of Oakland, California. Misty has very close ties, family ties there, has been going there for many years, but also we're so, impressed by the social justice awareness that they have in that community, the arts awareness and the cultural awareness that they have in that community, and the rich history as well. So Nelson, Misty, and myself, we took several trips to the Bay Area to do research, and it was really very evident that there was a housing crisis, and there is a housing crisis. Now it's happening everywhere, but there specifically when we first started was just really out of control, and we knew we wanted to hone in on that and kind of see what was happening and give a face to homelessness. I think there's this traditional notion in film and media where somebody who's homeless or experiencing houselessness looks a certain way, and it's always the same depiction. It's like an older, man of color who has maybe like a beer can in his hand, and that's just like that tropey perception. And we wanted to show that it can happen to anyone. There are 40 million Americans right now who are in danger of becoming homeless or houseless, and of those 40 million, they don't all look the same, right? So that was something that was really important to us. So we went into the community in Oakland and we spoke to real people, and we tried to get their stories and understand what can cause this. And that's why Misty's character, that was sort of showing how it can happen to anyone. And in this situation, it happened to a woman who had multiple jobs and had dreams and aspirations of becoming a dancer, but had things that were keeping her from being able to reach her full potential.
And one of the things that causes homelessness, or at least causes real struggle, is actually medical bills and taking care of a loved one who suddenly cannot contribute to the household. So it strikes a lot of levels of what happens to people over time often. This is what, I don't know, art activism, can I call it artivism? Maybe I'll create a new word. Was this purposeful for you? Did you choose, like, this is gonna be my first thing, and then coming after this, there's gonna be more like this?
In terms of what we are building with our production company, we did not intend for this to be our first, but we're so thankful that it is, because I feel like it really represents the stories we want to tell in terms of authenticity and giving people a voice whose stories haven't been told, whether it's past, present, future. So I feel like this is just a great way to kind of separate us from other production companies and other content that's out there.
It's a movie with a purpose, and many movies have their own separate purposes. This one definitely has humaneness, empathy, and kindness in it. I gotta return to you because I almost cried at the end when you're dancing with your mother, but you're actually dreaming and then you wake up. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like shooting that scene?
That was an interesting day and time. I was very sick, pregnant, and throwing up all day. And we were in this house, and it was such an intimate environment. And I felt like I was in such a vulnerable state that allowed me to access even more of the emotions that it takes to, I thought it would take to become that character in that moment. And it also was really late. I think it was like midnight when we were shooting that. But it was, incredible to be in a space where you really feel like you can kind of take in the environment and really become the character in the moment.
When did you all start shooting? What was happening surrounding as you're building up to this? Because this takes months and months to get all this together. The choreography, the music, the filming, everything.
The process took a really long time, and a big part of that was because of COVID and the world shutting down and all of that. It was very challenging. We had lots of challenges. One of the biggest challenges was 3 weeks before we were set to shoot in Oakland. Our director and production services team, they were one entity, they pulled out. And so that just threw us for a loop. So we had 3 weeks to put together the whole, production again, all the way from scratch. But we did it, I think that was the moment when I felt like I wanted to quit. And Misty just rooted me on and was like, nope, let's keep going. We're gonna make this happen regardless of the circumstances. And we did, we pushed through it. And I think it's a really big message of resilience, which is also something that when we were speaking to the unhoused in Oakland, they told us that some of the most, important and impactful services that they are given are these resiliency training programs. And it's something that helps them get past these really tough challenges when it feels like everything is against you. Just push through it, and you'll see light at the end of the tunnel, in the film. So we lived that in that moment, and a few other moments throughout the process too. We were challenged, extremely challenged, many times with things going wrong and not having to pivot. And every time we pivoted, it ended up being a better outcome than what was originally planned. So I would say throughout the process, that was really what we learned.
You transcended is what happened, right? And then came out with this absolutely beautiful piece of art. May I ask you what your experience was? Because you didn't just go and say, we're gonna do a film about homelessness and the problem with gentrification and the problem with the housing crisis. You went and did the work. You talked to people. What was your experience?
It was a very emotional experience. I grew up with housing insecurity, houseless for a lot of my childhood. So I definitely could understand, a small percentage of what a lot of these people that we were talking to were experiencing and going through. So it was overwhelming. I remember the day that we shot the scene where you hear them speaking, And we got into the van afterwards, and I just burst into tears. It was just overwhelming to know how many people are, struggling with housing insecurity and for a variety of reasons. So it's so hard to kind of categorize or even could be able to comprehend or understand like how to fix the problem. But I feel like the more that we kind of bring awareness to it and have a more compassion and more empathy about what other people are experiencing, I think the more that that we can get to a place where we understand how to help in some way.
A lot of Americans are a couple of paychecks away from that moment when it's happening to them. I hate to ask this because this is so beautiful. You could just let this go for the next 5 years, we'd be all right. But what is next? I'm gonna ask you both. I know that's always a hard question to answer.
So we're actually calling this episode 1 of Flower because we are going to make a series of different shorts like this. I guess you guys are open to seeing more, that's great. But we'll make a series and focus on different cities and what issues are going on in different cities, different unique issues to those cities. And I want to point out also that the film was made, about 99% of the cast and crew, everybody involved in the film, had some sort of tie to Oakland, California. And so we were able to provide jobs to people in the area, especially during the pandemic, during a time when people weren't getting as much work and productions were closed down and things like that. So we want to continue doing that in other communities across the country.
It is wonderful, yes. And they didn't, I don't know if you knew this, but I lived in Oakland for quite some time. So when I saw it, I was like, I recognized so many places, the stores that you went into, where you worked as a waitress thing. A lot of people have to do quite a few different things in their lives to get to where they're going, to get to where they want to be, and this is one of those stories. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you want to be right now?
Dance is what got me here. I have so many incredible opportunities because I was given access and an opportunity, and that's exactly why we're creating content like this, because we want to give people the ability to understand what's possible, the power of storytelling through this form, just all that it can do for a human being. And all of the tools that I have, all of the skills that I have are because I'm an artist and because I'm a dancer. And now I've gone on to do so many things, but it's all with the same purpose and the same focus and the same mission. It's to bring ballet to more people, to have a broader audience, more diversity. And so I think that's gonna shine through in everything that I do.
It's part of who you are. And what about for you? You guys can tell that these are the professional dancers and I'm not, with the shoes that they're wearing and gliding across the floor while I stumble. And for you, what has the journey been like to this moment?
Likewise, I think that the reason why I am an Emmy-winning TV writer and producer is because I was able to have exposure to the arts in my life, and it helped give me a structure, a work ethic, an appreciation for creativity that I never would have had I not been exposed. And so this is all part of exposing people to the arts. You don't have to become a professional dancer. You don't have to pursue a professional career in the arts, but experiencing the arts will enrich your life. It will give you a new perspective, and it will help carry you through anything you do in life. And most of all, right now is a time when people are looking for ways to express themselves. We're having trouble communicating because maybe we're always on our phones or whatever. And I think this is a great way, this movement-based storytelling, to show that you can express yourself through your physicality, through your body, when you don't have the words to explain what you're feeling.
I do want to mention that you cannot be on your phone or distracted by a phone call or texting, doing anything, because you're going to miss something, because there is no word spoken except for how. That seemed to be very purposeful. Did you think about that this was something that you actually have to engage with and pay attention to?
I I mean, that's always, something that I'm thinking about when I talk to young people and about the importance of the arts and being exposed to it, because it's a moment in time where you can just kind of step back and let go of everything that's happening in your life. When you're in a studio, which is such a sacred space, you're not on your phone or your computer, you can just be in your body and present. It's also an escape. And so that's something that we want people to experience when they're watching our films, and it's also to remind them that it's not to take away from the experience of the theater, but to invite people to show what's possible to see in a theater. So I hope you all go check out American Ballet Theater right next door in their summer season.
Thank you all for being here. I just have one last question for both you, Leyla, and you, Misty, and that is, can you give us some advice on how you push through? Because as dancers, I don't even want to think about what it takes to get on that stage. Just to get there is a huge thing. And then to stay there for so long. You have faced things in your life that have been really damn hard. How did you push through? What got you through?
Definitely having a support system, having mentors, having people that have been in my corner that remind me day in and day out that I'm worthy of being in this position, that I've worked hard, and that what I have to say matters. And I think that's something that's so important for dancers, especially when we're often silenced. We're told to use our bodies, and that's kind of all we can do, but what we have to say is so important, and that's something that I want to empower the next generation to feel confident in doing. But I wouldn't be in this position and have gotten to where I am if I didn't have an incredible support team.
It's beautiful. Leyla, for you?
Yeah, Misty and my husband, they're both my biggest champions, and they're rooting me on all the time and reminding me not to give up. And if it weren't for Misty, like with this film, we would have given up a while ago. So I think like she said, you have to have a strong support system, people who believe in you, and then when you don't have that, or if it's not enough, believe in yourself, because it's up to you, to make it happen.
You all, this is so beautiful. Flower, where is it going to be shown? Like, are we the lucky one? Are we the first to see it?
We just started rolling it out. So we premiered at the Tribeca Festival last month. It was really amazing. And then, now this is actually the biggest screen that we've shown on so far, which is great.
Yay for you all.
Biggest audience. And we've started showing it on our social impact tour at different organizations and schools. But we will be showing it at more festivals and more places to come. So we'll let you know. We do have an announcement coming soon about an Oakland premiere for anybody who has friends in the Bay Area. But yeah, we'll stay tuned. Follow Oakland Flower Film on Instagram, and you'll see.
That's Oakland Flower Film on Instagram. Leyla, Fayyaz, Misty Copeland, it's been my honor and pleasure to be able to watch this film and to be able to sit here with you today. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for being here.
Stay and dance with us.
Yes, stay for the dance party at the plaza.